Canelo Alvarez has given a stunned response to Edgar Berlanga's new preparation film. In the meantime, Oscar De La Hoya isn't keeping down, releasing a blazing tirade in his unmistakable applaud back Thursday fragment. This time, his objective is the profoundly expected Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga standoff. Set for September 14th at Las Vegas's T-Versatile Field, the brilliant kid, set free via web-based entertainment, focusing on the session without any indications of pulling punches. De La Hoya got straight to the point when he pummeled the $89.99 cost of the DAZN pay-per-view, marking it out-and-out burglary. To put it gruffly, Oscar accepts fans are overall totally cheated. Yet again, feeling great, the brilliant kid even made an examination between the disheartening boxing fight and the UFC occasion that occurred the very end of the week. He is foreseeing that fans will probably block out to watch the UFC. Rather, Oscar added that no one had requested the battle, portraying it as a scam to charge $90 for a session that was nearly ensured to go all the way and put individuals to bed. Berlanga. De La Hoya doesn't excuse his abilities, yet accepts he's fighting at a surprisingly high level against Canelo. Oscar indicated that a more qualified opponent for the New Yorker would have been Caleb Plant, the previous IBF super middleweight champion. Contribution: a more serious conflict. Rather, Berlanga is in far over his head, driven by the charm of a strong payday. Oscar's tirade didn't end there. He energetically communicated his deep love for boxing, however, voiced developing dissatisfaction with the game's ebb and flow direction to him. This battle was one more case of advertisers focusing on benefit, leaving fans disheartened with the shoddy exhibition. Will fans notice La Hoya's mindfulness, or will they actually shell out near $100 for an occasion he accepts will be an enormous disillusionment? One thing's unmistakable, hasn't kept down, ensuring the boxing scene knows precisely where he remains as Canelo gets ready for his impending battle. Jose Benavidez Sr., dad of super middleweight competitor David Benavidez, has voiced sharp analysis of the Mexican top dog's vocation. Benavidez Sr. cases that Alvarez has been safeguarded by different boxing associations, permitting him to pursue vocation decisions that, while useful to himself, have come to the detriment of rising gifts like his child. During a meeting with a Boxing Voice, Benavidez Sr. expressed that Canelo's influence in the boxing scene empowers him to handpick adversaries in a difficult spot, frequently forcing restricting provisions. He proposed this example has persevered all through Canelo's profession, with endorsing bodies choosing not to see these activities, which in his view subvert the honesty of the game. Canelo has a ton of force, and I figure the associations will keep on safeguarding him until he resigns. Everybody understands what's going on with these belts, Benavidez Sr. commented following the Global Boxing League's choice to strip Canelo Alvarez of his title for keeping away from a compulsory session against William Skull. Jose Benavidez Sr. voiced his help for the alliance's position, in spite of Canelo's contention that Skull was not a commendable challenger. The IBF stayed unfaltering, implementing its principles and recovering the title from Alvarez. At last, somebody dared to take a belt from Canelo. I accept it. Was the IBF, and I cheer them for doing it, Benavidez Sr. added, highlighting his expectation that more associations will consider Canelo responsible. Later on, advertiser Eddie Hearn has named Edgar Berlanga's approaching session as an amazing chance, one that is essentially too vital for even think about missing at. 27 Puerto Rican contender Berlanga is without a doubt excited to get his sought-after possibility at Canelo's super middleweight titles on September 14th at Las Vegas's T-Versatile Field. Yet, this fantasy match could appear to be more similar to an overwhelming test as Berlanga gets ready to take on one of boxing's top stars. Alvarez Hearn, the director of Matchroom Boxing and Berlanga advertiser, thinks his contender is ready to capitalize on his chance despite the fact that the chances are against him. Hearn told Donnie, "You can't be sure whether you're prepared for a contender like Canelo Alvarez until you get in there, on the grounds that the issue is he's so tip-top. Berlanga has a major heart. He has huge conviction, and he's prepared to perform on September 14. It's Mexico against Puerto Rico." Berlanga hardened his status as a force to be reckoned with by taking out Ireland's Padre McQueen in only 6 adjusts last February. This unequivocal triumph procured him the place of WBA's obligatory challenger in the 168 pounds division. Regardless of this, expected matchups with Mexico's Jaime Monja and France's Christian Emily didn't appear. Canelo chose Berlanga as his rival for the Mexico's Autonomy Day session. Following the declaration, a savage verbal trade ejected between the two warriors, Berlanga has vowed to use his sharp hit and key discernment to challenge Canelo's predominance. Hearn said there isn't much in that frame of mind between the two warriors. and perhaps Edgar could manage a Monja or Billy. Yet they weren't there, and they didn't occur. Whenever you get the open door as compulsory, you must take adherencies. The second to uncover that the unbeaten Diego Pacho is set to challenge the victor of the Canelo Berlanga session following his amazing sixth-round knockout of Meshai Sule. Last Saturday, with a record of 220, including 18 knockouts, Pacho has now gotten 10 stoppage wins in his last 11 sessions, as Sui was crushed by a progression of body shots that at last left him spread on the material turn, said, "I see it somewhat. Like Diego, he will be compulsory to the Canelo Alvarez against Berlanga victor. He presumably needs that grating battle, yet you never know until you're in the profound end." Then again, Edgar Berlanga is overflowing with certainty as he plans for his impending session. He had recently pronounced he would take out Canelo inside 6 adjusts and underscored his better abilities over the Mexican super middleweight champion. Now he has strengthened his position, proclaiming that his definitive point is then force Canelo into retirement from boxing. "I need to resign him for good. Most likely that is my objective. I'm doing whatever it takes not to stay here and disregard him or any such thing. He's a legend, yet by the day's end, we need to battle," expressed Berlanga in a meeting with TM Sports. The Puerto Rican warrior made it a stride further, proclaiming that his opponent is finished and declaring his own capacity to remove his titles. He previously did what he needed to do in the game of boxing. "I think this present time, it's my opportunity now is. The ideal time to come in and assume control over another face is required at 168 pounds, said Berlanga. Ultimately, he proclaimed that September 14th, the few days of Mexico's Autonomy Day festivities, is the point at which he needs to turn into a legend. "I'm bound to impact the world forever on September 14th. To turn into a legend on that day, to assume control over the game of boxing, and turned into the essence of the game," he closed. The confrontation among Canelo and Berlanga is set for the T-Portable Field in Las Vegas at 34. The Mexican champion flaunts a considerable record of 65 triumphs, 2 draws and 2 losses, with 39 of those wins dropping by knockout. In the meantime, the 27-year-old Berlanga shows up at this session with a perfect record of 220, including 17 successes by knockout, in spite of the fact that Canelo holds the advantage as far as experience and record. Not all specialists are excusing. The challenger advertiser Steven Espinoza, for instance, has communicated his help for the Puerto Rican contender, sure that he will get Canelo a considerable test. The two warriors showed some flash, some discharge, some inclination. And obviously there was a feeling that Berlanga isn't a person who is only there to appear, that he's persuaded, that he's not scared, and all of that truly helps, since when you have a person, however experienced and cultivated as Canelo, one of your large difficulties may be to persuade individuals that his battles will be cutthroat. He told Boxing Scene. Strikingly, the main thrust behind Beranga's aggressive jump is his previous coach imprint. Destiny Barra's climb to fame has been out and out wonderful. He overpowered his underlying 16 challengers with first-round knockouts and keeps an unsullied record right up till now. In 2021, he secured the WBO NABO super middleweight title. However, Destiny was missing from Barra's instructional course for around 3 years. A huge piece of Barra's accomplishments can be credited to Blur's impact. Insights regarding Imprint Vet's life and boxing vocation stay scant, yet his process started right on time, close by Berlanga. The association was produced when Barra's dad coordinated them. Following Barra's Olympic preliminaries, Destiny assumed a significant part in forming Barra's profession, directing him from those early days to a vigorous 12-0 expert record as he turned 27. Barra's underlying 12 sessions were completely set apart by knockouts. Yet Destiny had its own plans, far 8 occupied with his own undertakings, needed to step away, prompting a division of quite. While regardless of the shortfall of a carefully prepared mentor, Berlanga proceeded with his series of wins, guaranteeing more triumphs. Similarly, as Berlanga arranged to confront Jason Quigley in June 2023, Ferret reappeared, his life prepared to direct him by the divinely selected individual, arose triumphant over Quigley by consistent choice, with Ferret supporting him all through the instructional course. Berlanga exhibited his strength by ground surface Quigley in both the 3rd and 5th adjusts, and conveying 2 additional knockdowns in the 12th. The Brooklyn local proceeded with his amazing run with a staggering knockout against Padre McQuee, finishing the battle in the 6th round and snapping his past dash of 5 cons. Chief consistent choice wins. Normally, Imprint Destiny was the picked mentor for Beranga's stupendous standoff with Canelo Alvarez. A triumph in this battle could sling Berlanga into fame and lift him to the more elite classes of boxing. And it turns out Imprint Blur has a secure system to make that fantasy a reality. In episode 1 of Berlanga Camp Pursuing Significance, Imprint Blur disclosed the procedure for Berenga's enthusiastically anticipated conflict with brought-together super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez, addressed the basic job of the hit and keeping legitimate separation. Fundamental strategies for killing Canelo's hostile dangers. Edgar's doing great. He's essentially ahead far expressed, alluding to Berenga's molding in weight, the executives in anticipation of the greatest battle of his profession. He added, "Today we're zeroing in on speedy jerk muscles, working his distance, keeping his influence, and avoiding traps." Blur stressed the significance of Berra's lead hand, saying that Canelo can't close the distance if Berlanga doesn't keep his poke dynamic. Ensure that lead hand is heavyweight Najee Lopez, who brags a record 110 with 8 knockouts, and rising star Darrell Valen from Florida, likewise undefeated with a record of 11-0 and 9 knockouts. That's amazing setup. Doesn't end there. He has additionally prepared Marquez Val, who holds a 10-1 record with 7 knockouts, and the undefeated Dominic Val, who remains at 10-0 with 7 knockouts. Apparently, Blur is profoundly gifted at teaching his understudies on the best way to wipe out their adversaries. As per a report from Boxing Scene, prior to battling Jason Quigley, Berlanga talked about his mentor, expressing, "I'm back with Imprint Barrett, my mentor that made the beast, and that is astonishing. We were isolated for quite a long time. Yet presently he's back while the timing is significant, and I believe you will see something hazardous." Imprint Blur has obviously made a huge imprint on Edgar Berranga's profession. Fair 8, the main impetus behind Berranga's noteworthy dash of 16 sequential knockouts has go to his corner as Berlanga gears up for the urgent confrontation with Canelo Alvarez. Yet the genuine trial of their restored cooperation will be uncovered just when they go head-to-head against the prevailing substance of boxing. Edgar Berlanga is preparing for the main skirmish of his vocation as he ventures into the ring with Canelo Alvarez, competing for the WBC, WBA, and WBO super middleweight titles. Alvarez, who has effectively protected his super middleweight titles on 4 not entirely set in stone to keep up with his brought-together top dog status for 5th time frame against the divinely selected individual. The victor of the match will likewise get the shiny new Talipus 2 in unique belt from the WBC. They had likewise made a Talipus belt much the same as this one for the fight with Haim Monja, since the Cuera Talipa Mexican ensemble filled in as the belt's motivation. It connotes the territory of Mexico. The World Boxing Chamber has likewise alluded to this battle as the best boxing contention between nations. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. The stakes couldn't be higher for the two warriors. Alvarez is finding his sweet spot with perfect timing for the match, while Berlanga has been driving himself seriously still up in the air to pull over the 10 years greatest annoyed with 27. The Brooklyn-conceived warrior is at the pinnacle of his profession, ready to disturb the confining scene. A discussion with chief boxing champions, Berlanga uncovered that he had long imagined the standoff with Canelo. With his fantasy presently understood, he's overflowing with preparation and assurance, completely dedicated to conveying the best presentation of his profession. Berlanga shared another video on his X record, offering a brief look into his preparing routine intended to counter the defending champ. The recording catches him in formal sparring in his rec center, where his mentor's support pushes him determinedly until the meeting's end. The quick, unstable punches conveyed in the video are so quick they appear to obscure past the unaided eye's ability to follow. Second, "Come on, we should go, Che." Following his knockout win against Padre MCC in February, Berlanga showed the way that he could be a considerable competitor for Canelo, yet the inquiry remains: will his ongoing preparation be adequate to bring down Canelo, the supreme star of boxing? The agreement is suspicious. Fans quickly voiced their mistake with the class, feeling that the 22-0 contenders' endeavors and capacities missed the mark. Many stay persuaded that Canelo will win and accept there's no genuine challenge between the two contenders. One client thusly composed all that to get dropped in co and anticipated all out control by Canelo. Comparably, another Canelo fan too expressed, "Can't fault the person